Part two, we're talking about conditional future events. Conditional is this word if. And a lot of people don't like the word if. It's really annoying. In English, we have four ways to use if. Four, four different ways. And a lot of people don't know how to use it. It's challenging. It's not easy. Today, we're going to focus on only two ways, and these are ways to talk about the future. So the first way to talk about the future is a conditional future realistic event. So a realistic event is an event that we think has a good chance of happening. Does it have a good chance? Does it have a bad chance of happening? That's your decision. So we have to use some human judgment. In this case, if it's a realistic future event, we use if subject plus a present verb, which sounds really strange because it's about the future, but we use the present verb. And then we say subject will, and then the base verb. The base verb is the basic part. So be, go, do. These are the base parts of the verb. Let's look at a simple example. So tomorrow, is it realistic to get rain in Tokyo? Is that a realistic possibility? I think it's realistic. You might disagree. You might say it's not realistic. It's the summer. It's hot every day. It's sunny. But we live in Japan, right? The weather in Japan is up and down and up and down. It's like my country, the UK. The weather, is like this. So it's realistic that it rains tomorrow. So we have to use if plus a subject plus the present tense. So we say if it rains tomorrow. Don't say if it will rain tomorrow. That's a common mistake people make. They think, well, it's the future. So will, if it will rain tomorrow. But we don't want to say that. If subject, present verb. Hey, if it rains tomorrow. If this project is successful. We're doing this project now. It's real. So we talk about a realistic future event. And then we simply use will in the second part of the sentence. My example is terrible here. If it rains tomorrow, I will work from home. Now, I'm British. We know what rain is. We're tough in the rain. But this is a simple sentence that could tell you a realistic possibility. If it rains tomorrow, I will work from home. What's another realistic possibility? I live close to the Chuo line, Sobu Chuo line in Tokyo. It's just over there. It stops every day. That's a realistic possibility. So I could say, if the Chuo line stops, not stopped, stops tomorrow, not will stop. If the Chuo line stops tomorrow, I will be angry, maybe. So this is a realistic possibility. And again, the line between realistic and not realistic, that's up to you. But for me, rain tomorrow is realistic. For me, the Chuo line stopping tomorrow in Tokyo, JR Chuo line, is very realistic. It happens a lot. Well, what about the opposite of realistic future? So actually, this is an example. If this project fails, we will need to explain it carefully to our boss. So this is a realistic future for us because we're working on a project right now. But what about an improbable future? Now, notice I'm changing the language now. Not unrealistic, but I'm changing it to improbable, impossible, and alternate reality. So these are cases when we talk about the future that is less realistic, and we can break it into three logical categories. Category number one is improbable. So notice my arrow change, right? This arrow sort of seems more realistic. This arrow now seems like a higher barrier. So the first one is improbable. Improbable means that there's a very small chance of something happening. And for all of these situations, improbable, impossible, and alternate reality, we use this language structure: if plus a subject plus a past verb. And again, people go, oh, that's strange because it's the future. No problem. So we want to say if plus a subject plus a past verb. And then in the second part of the sentence, we want to use the word would. Would in English tells the listeners that this is still not fixed. It's not a realistic possibility. It's improbable, impossible, or alternate reality. Let's look at some examples. So what about improbable? So remember, improbable means that the speaker thinks that there's a very small chance. And again, this could be strategic. You could strategically communicate that you think that there's a small chance by using this language. So sadly, I think there's a small chance England win the next World Cup. I think there's a small chance. European Championships, England were second, but we were not good in the final. So I think there's a small chance England win the next World Cup. It's a small chance. So I need to use this language of, let's go back and check. Oops. I need to use this language of if, subject, and a past verb, something would happen. So in this case, if England won the next World Cup, everyone in the UK would take a day off. Well, everyone in England would take a day off of work. So that's telling the listener that this is improbable. I could use this language. I could say if England wins the next World Cup, everyone will take a day off work. I am strategically telling the audience my feeling. Look for the difference. Hey guys, if England wins the next World Cup, everyone will take a day off. Hey guys, if England won the next World Cup, everyone would take a day off. B. In the case of A, I'm telling the audience that I have high confidence that this is realistic. In the case of B, I'm telling the audience that I have low confidence that this is realistic. Think about how you can use that strategy in your own business situation. Let me give you two examples. So we have a project, and the project, we have a proposal, and the proposal success means big bonus for everybody. Listen to two ways, A and B. If the project is successful, everyone will get a big bonus. B. I need to use the past tense. If the project was successful, everyone would get a big bonus. Now, think about the difference there in the strategic communication of that. In the case of A, you have high confidence that the project will be successful. But in the case of B, you're telling everybody, or the proposal, sorry. In the case of B, you're telling everybody that you don't have much confidence in that. So think how you want to communicate conditional future events. Do you want to communicate a strong chance? If so, use the present tense and will, like this. Do you want to communicate a low chance? If so, use the past tense and would. But of course, sometimes we have impossible events. Impossible could be hypothetical. Hypothetical means imaginary. Look at this example. If Nick became, that's me, if Nick became the Prime Minister of Japan, he would negotiate a free trade deal with the UK quickly. Well, that's impossible. I'm not a Japanese citizen. I don't have a Japanese passport. It's impossible for me to become the Prime Minister of Japan. So we can also use this language to describe imaginary, totally impossible, but hypothetical future events. Hypothetical means we can think about it, but it's impossible to happen. Finally, we can use this to talk about alternate reality. Alternate reality means today is different. Something different happened. So sadly, we know that Steve Jobs died. Steve Jobs, the founder or one of the founders of Apple, sadly died. He passed away, what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago? But let's imagine a new reality. Let's imagine that Steve Jobs didn't die. We can use this type of language to describe the result. And it's the same structure. If, subject, past verb, subject, would. So if Steve Jobs had not died, the latest iPhones would be much more beautiful. That's just my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think the iPhones are beautiful today. That's great. So we use these conditional futures in really two ways. Way number one is when we talk about realistic future possibilities. We use if, subject, present verb, subject, will, and then the basic verb. And then when we talk about improbable events, which are low possibility, impossible events, which are just imaginary, and alternate reality events, which means changing the past, changing today, then we want to use this structure. If plus subject and a past verb, something would happen. That's how we strategically use these. And communicating, whether we use this realistic or this improbable, is a strategic business communicative tool. It tells your audience your confidence level. So be very careful about using this style if you want to make everybody feel confident. You don't want to use it if you want people to feel confident.